ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTv News, expanding your view.
Hello and welcome to CoreTv Primetime News. I am Ebulomo Adekunle in a major story. Federal government agrees ceasefire with dreaded militant group Boko Haram. Also in this program, Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade orders Nigerian troops to comply with ceasefire deal with Boko Haram. Political thugs sack Osun APC Congress, injure several party members. And outside Nigeria, medical charity cites international pledges of deployment and aid for Africa's Ebola-hit regions yet to yield any impact on the epidemic. And now the details. After 1 month-long negotiation facilitated by Chad, Nigeria has agreed a ceasefire with Boko Haram. The deal, according to the Nigerian authorities, would also ensure the release of all 219 schoolgirls abducted more than 6 months ago by the insurgents. Coordinator of the National Information Center, Michael Mary, disclosed this at a news conference in Abuja.
Terrorists indicated their desire and willingness for peace and to discuss and resolve all associated issues. They also assured that the schoolgirls and all other people in their captivity are alive and well. Already, the terrorists have announced a ceasefire in furtherance of their desire for peace. In this regard, the government of Nigeria has, in a similar vein, declared a ceasefire. Finally, this is to assure Nigerians that the greater goal of this process is to ensure the return of normalcy in the land, especially in parts of the country troubled by activities of terrorists. President Jonathan's commitment to peace and security in Nigeria and indeed in all parts of the world has been the driving force of all engagements and measures taken this far on the war against terror since it began in our country.
Nigeria's military authorities have directed troops to comply with a ceasefire deal with the insurgent group. Chief of Defense Staff Alex Bade says he has already passed on the order to service chiefs. Bade, who made this known at the end of a 3-day coordinating conference of the Nigeria-Cameroon Trans-Border Military Operations, revealed that the deal was cut in Saudi Arabia.
My very good friend from Cameroon and all your members of your delegation. No, you can interpret. Okay.
Mon cher ami du Cameroun et ses délégations.
I once again want to thank you on behalf of Armed Forces of Nigeria.
Je vais vous remercier au nom d'état-major du Nigeria
for accepting to come over to Abuja to come and discuss this all important matter.
Pour avoir accepté de venir à Abuja pour discuter cet sujet vraiment important.
We are living here more determined than ever before to ensure that we face our challenges mutually.
Nous allons quitter d'ici en sachant que nous avons la détermination de combattre ensemble.
And I hope that in the nearest future you will invite us over to Cameroon, maybe not come and discuss such matters because maybe we would have finished it, but come on maybe friendly visit.
Et j'ai l'espoir que vous allez nous inviter au Cameroun pour discuter, mais c'est pas discuter quelque chose comme ça, mais on va discuter dans une ambiance d'amitié.
So I'd like to thank you again for coming and
Et je vais vous remercier.
We wish you safe journey back to Yaoundé.
Je vous souhaite bon voyage à Yaoundé.
But without any prejudice to the outcome of our 3 days interaction,
mais sans considérer ce qu'on avait déjà discuté dans 3 jours.
And the conclusion of this forum,
et en conclusion,
I wish to inform this audience,
je vais informer tout le monde
that a ceasefire agreement has been concluded between the federal government of Nigeria and Al-Sunnah Lidawa wal Jihad.
Qu'ils ont déjà signé un cessez-feu entre l'armée du Nigeria et je ne sais pas le nom, et le Boko Haram.
I have accordingly directed
et j'ai déjà instruit
the service chiefs to ensure immediate compliance with this development in the field.
Le chef de service de respecter ce qui est déjà signé.
Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup.
There is, however, still no word from Boko Haram through their usual source on the ceasefire claims. Police have temporarily taken over the secretariat of the All Progressives Congress in Osun State following the eruption of violence as hell was let loose among party members. The state chapter of APC is currently holding its Congress to elect new members into the party's executives. Aggrieved party members from Borikwe local government area of the state were said to have staged a protest to the party's secretariat over the local government's Congress results. The protest was later hijacked by hoodlums. Some of the members were said to have been injured in the process and taken to undisclosed hospitals for treatment. Police, however, prevented journalists from gaining access to the secretariat. None of the party officials was available for comment, but CoreTv News got through to the party's Director of Publicity and Strategy, Kunle Oyatomi, on phone. He said the incident would not affect the ongoing Congress.
So I was saying that they came in to protest the non-inclusive of some people in the list. Their leaders came to submit. You know, as you are aware, we just had a Congress at the world and local government level. So they came to protest. And in coming in, some hoodlums who are not members of the party and who we didn't know from nowhere, they themselves actually disowned these people. So they came and then began to, create something which the intervention of the police put a check to quickly, and this was done as a result of the fact that before their arrival, we had the policemen on standby in that place. Not because of them, we have been having them around since the Congress started. So we believe that they have freedom to protest because this is democracy, and as a matter of fact, the protest was quickly settled. The differences was quickly settled.
Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has insisted that democratic primaries in the All Progressives Congress is the best form of consensus for the party. He said this in response to calls on the social network Twitter for the presidential aspirants in the party to agree on a consensus candidate. According to his Twitter post, calling for a consensus is not necessary because APC is committed to holding free and fair primaries. He added that there is no better consensus than that agreed to by delegates who will eventually mobilize the electorate for votes at next year's election. Nigeria's main opposition party, the All Progressives Congress, plans to amend its constitution before its convention slated for December. To this end, it has slated an extraordinary convention for October 29th, where the proposed amendments would be tabled for ratification. National Publicity Secretary of the party, Lai Mohammed, disclosed this at a press briefing on the outcome of APC's National Executive Council meeting on Friday. He also insisted that the timetable for the already published guidelines for primaries had not changed. Reacting to reports that the APC members were the main campaigners in the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, the party spokesman said the party executive was not aware of that. He argued that members of the group were free to be sympathetic to the cause, but maintained that APC is not bankrolling the protest movement to discredit the Jonathan administration. With the swearing-in of the governor of Ekiti State, Ayo Fayose, PDP-controlled state in the southwest is now too. Short of Osun State, retained by the APC election will be due in other states of the region in 2015. The PDP in the southwest is, however, boasting of sweeping the remaining states, including Lagos, from the APC come 2015. Rashid engages some PDP stalwarts in Ado-Ekiti on the development and filed in this report.
Barely 24 hours after the fall of the APC government in Ekiti State, the once ever loyal APC House of Assembly members have started singing new political songs as 6 of them decamped to the PDP, with more said to be expected. Emboldened by this development and the recent defection of Ondo State Governor Olusegun Mimiko to the PDP, bringing PDP-controlled state in the southwest to 2, other PDP stalwarts believe it's their turn to shine in their respective states. Though Osun State election was won by the APC, the PDP is still hopeful of victory at the tribunal.
Court to determine all these things, but obviously I think that there must be a nexus between the two. We hope that justice is done and that the election, is declared as being null and void. That is our position.
With the news of the resignation of Musiliu Obanikoro from the cabinet of President Goodluck Jonathan, Lagos may have also entered into the calculation, going by his comments.
I am very passionate about Lagos. I have profited from Lagos, and I believe strongly that I have a lot to offer Lagos. Housing does not exist for the masses. These are challenges that I believe I can do better for the people of Lagos.
Ogun State PDP is also not left out in what they dubbed the show of strength.
We have a better chance in Ogun State if you follow the trend of things in the last few days. You see that the who is who in Ogun State politics have started coming together and join force with PDP. So with that teaming together, I can assure you that PDP will be the person to beat in Ogun State 2015.
Former Governor Rashidi Ladoja and his deputy at the point of his reign also state their readiness to send APC packing from Oyo State.
Well, because you see, when I came, I postulated for Christianity. My boss, is my man, is my everything. Very, very cordial.
The relationship between the two, though, appears cordial at the moment. It is bound to be tested once more as both of them actively prepare for 2015, with Alao Akala planning to fly the flag of the PDP, while Ladoja may contest under a Accord party. Governor Ajimabi is also surely warming by the corner. So, how will this play out in Oyo come 2015?
My people asked me to come back, and answering their call to come back. You know, when you have a new king and is not performing, it will remind people of the last king before him. So that's what happened.
It's a game. You leave that one to the electorate. The electorate will decide when the time comes.
Observers are keenly watching the development as the PDP and APC are ably represented in the Southwest politics. The expectation is very and has continued to rise. Rashid for TV News at Doekiti.
Taking a breather from party politics now, the 3-week-old strike embarked upon by the workers' union in Ekiti State has been suspended. The order for workers to suspend the strike was issued by the chairman of the Joint Negotiating Council, Johnson Oladipupo, as a mark of honor for the new government. Ayodele Fayushi.
In the name of comradeship and respect to the mandate given to the incoming governor by entire Ekiti State citizenry, even workers inclusive. And response, not response alone, and due implementation of that demands within a limited time of 1 month.
The suspension, which saw workers resuming en masse at their various duty posts, will only be for a month to enable the government to settle down and pay the arrears and salaries owed them.
We did this suspension in order to allow the new government to settle down and study the demands of workers. I'm telling you categorically that 1 month is 1 month. Failure to do that, then is the strike action is suspended, and it may be critical than ordinary suspension and what we've seen before.
It will be recalled that Ekiti workers went on strike on the 2nd of October during the administration of former Governor Kayode Fayemi over non-payment of July and September salary. Court upholds ban on hijab in Lagos public schools. Join us for details after this timeout. Don't go away.
There is an Ebola virus epidemic in some West African countries. The Nigerian government wants you to be aware and watch out against the spread of Ebola in your community. Help keep our country safe and watch out for severe cases of fever, headaches, diarrhea, chest and abdominal pain, sore throat, cough, red eyes and bleeding from the eyes, ears and nose, especially when these symptoms are found in persons coming into Nigeria from other West African countries. Protect yourself. Wash your hands regularly with soap and running water or use a hand sanitizer. Avoid contact with the blood, urine, feces or saliva of animals like bats, monkeys, gorillas, chimpanzees or infected persons. The Ebola virus is deadly. Don't catch it. Don't spread it. This message is brought to you by the Federal Ministry of Information.
Glad to have you join us on another edition of The Political Arena, the most detailed and incisive political show.
If you are a sitting governor and the opposition is able to stomach structure against you, that means you are wicked to the people.
They gave me 20 minutes to move or they will shoot me.
He has no chance for survival. If he likes himself, this is the best time to get out before he perishes.
The PDP as a ruling party has failed.
So anybody who thinks that government will fold his hands and allow miscreants to take over the streets of Osun State and cause havoc is deceiving himself.
The good, bad, ugly and beautiful sides of the Nigerian political system. Join me every Sunday at 9:15 p.m. on CoreTv News.
You can now watch CoreTv News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTv Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then News. CoreTv News, a 24-hour news station.
Thank you for being there. And if you're just joining us, here is a quick reminder of some of the stories that made our headlines. Federal government agrees ceasefire with dreaded militant group Boko Haram. Chief of Defense Staff Alex Badi orders Nigerian troops to comply with ceasefire deal with Boko Haram. Political thugs sack Osun APC Congress, injure several party members. And for more news and other information, you can also reach us on our social media platform. On Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTv News. On Twitter, @CoreTV News NG. And on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV, leave a space, then news. Immunity clause enjoyed by top Nigerian political leaders, especially the president, his vice, state governors and their deputies, has again come under scrutiny. Speaking against the backdrop of rising corruption on the part of public office holders, two chieftains of the Yoruba Unity Forum, Anthony Adefuye and Olawale Okuniyi, advocate the total removal of the immunity clause. They also agreed that easing the clause out of the Nigerian constitution will gradually pave way for a corruption-free society. On the sideline of the recent general meeting of the Yoruba Unity Forum in Ikenne, Ogun State. An Ikeja High Court in Lagos on Friday upheld the ban on the wearing of Muslim head scarf, otherwise called hijab, in public primary and secondary schools in the state. Justice Modupe Onyabo dismissed the suit instituted against the Lagos State government by two 12-year-old girls under the aegis of the Muslim Students of Nigeria, Lagos State Area Unit. The state government banned the use of hijab on the argument that it was not part of the approved school uniform for pupils. Following the ban, the students filed the suit on May 27, 2013, seeking redress and asking the court to declare the ban as a violation of their rights to freedom of thought, religion and education. In her judgment, Onyabo held that the prohibition of the wearing of hijab over school uniforms within and outside the premises of public schools was not discriminatory. According to her, the ban does not violate sections 38 and 42 of the 1999 Constitution as claimed by the plaintiffs. The judge said Section 10 of the Constitution made Nigeria a secular state and that government must maintain neutrality at all times. Reacting to the judgment, the plaintiff's counsel, Gani Adetola Kazim, says his clients would file an appeal against the judgment. Adamawa State Governor Balangilari has urged the batch D2 teachers who were illegally employed in 2010 by the Post-Primary School Management Board to be patient and wait for vacancies before being reabsorbed into the civil service. Explaining the circumstances surrounding the employment, the Director, Press and Public Affairs at Adamawa State, Phineas Elisha, says the affected teachers, numbering over 2,000, will be considered for employment soon.
The decision of the government is that subject to availability of other gainful employment vacancies in the government service, they could be absorbed at a later date. So the whole essence of this is to inform the public and those teachers to understand the fact that despite the fact that they were, the entire number of 9494 was illegally, given. But because of master-servant vicarious liability, they were looking on to him as an executive secretary and as official of the government. So they would have believed that he was in a position to employ them.
He says the governor is aware of their plight, calling on them to be patient.
Ask these particular unemployed teachers to exercise patience, because we cannot mortgage the education of these peoples to just government bureaucracy and say, I was given a letter. No, the future of these primary school peoples is very, very important. And there is no way we can get unqualified people to impact knowledge that is not supposed to be impacted, because they themselves are not trained. So how can they train somebody? So that's the position. So I want them to appreciate the position of the government on this particular matter.
People of Adamawa State to support efforts by the present government to move the state forward. We'll take another break, and when we return, it will be time for business, sport, and other stories outside Nigeria. Don't go away.
Nigerians continue to
travel the city of Lagos.
There is still a poor level of
Be the first to know.
On CoreTv News.
From the north, south, east, west, and around Africa, we break the news.
We are one Nigeria.
Now you can catch all the actions live as the news breaks. We are CoreTv News.
Welcome to CoreTv.
A 24-hour news station.
One continent, 54 countries, over 2,000 languages, but united with similar interests. As news breaks, we give you in-depth analysis around Africa every Monday on CoreTv News.
And now to business news. The Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has commenced investigation on the technical suspension imposed on the shares of Axis Bank by the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The Commission wondered why no such suspension was placed on the shares of other listed companies who undertook capital raising recently. The Commission had in September 2009 directed the NSE to discontinue the practice of placing securities of listed company on technical suspension during capital raising exercise in order to avoid unfair market practice. SEC did not name the team probing the NSE. It, however, stated that the NSE had lifted the technical suspension in response to a letter sent to it by the Commission on September 23, 2014. SEC reassures the investing public and stakeholders of its commitment to ensure the sustenance of investors' confidence and the integrity of the Nigerian capital market. To enhance economic growth, Indonesia plans to trade with Nigeria, targeting bilateral trade in the volume of $5 billion within the next 3 years. According to Xinhua report, the Indonesian government had to seek alternative markets for its export following the economic downturns in Europe and United States, two economies that have been major markets for the Indonesian commodities. Director General of the National Export Development, Nuzulia Ishak, also said on Friday that trade enhancement between the two countries is based on the fact that both Indonesia and Nigeria have large populations and have continued to see high economic growth in the last few years. Indonesia wishes to prioritize competitive commodities in trade enhancement with Nigeria and would be capable to cooperate with Africa if they are able to establish strong ties with the country, Nuss said. Food and beverages, energy, business and airplane maintenance are sectors that have been picked to facilitate connectivity between the two countries. According to Nuss, Indonesia is now apparently the largest trade partner to Nigeria in the Southeast Asia region. Growth was recorded between the two nations in 2012, which reached $3.18 billion, 50% higher than $2.09 billion in 2011. Indonesia exports oil, vegetable fats, paper products, pharmacy, soaps, electronics to Nigeria, while Nigeria exports oil, cotton, and leather to Indonesia. The Bankers Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria is to ensure that a modern collateral registry is created to enable small and medium entrepreneurs easy access to the 220 billion naira MSME fund without hitches. This was one of the decisions reached at the committee's meeting in Abuja. The committee members also said some state governments that applied for the fund had already started accessing it. The nation's economy seems to dwindle due to the shortfall in oil revenue, and this is attributed to oil theft and pipeline vandalism by the National Council on Finance and Economic Development. In a communique issued at the end of its 2014 conference in Enugu on Friday, the council called for collaboration between the state and federal governments to arrest the situation. The communique, read by the Minister of State for Finance, Ambassador Bashir Yuguda, emphasized the need to broaden and improve the nation's revenue generation to finance government expenditures and recommended a refund of expenditures incurred by state government on the rehabilitation of federal roads. It advised state governments to observe regulations guiding internal and external borrowings. The conference was tagged Revenue Generation and Security Challenges. The three-day event featured paper presentations by stakeholders from the oil and gas sector and the Nigeria Customs Service. 24 companies who allegedly failed to repay loans granted to them have been blacklisted by the Bank of Industry. According to the managing director of the bank, Rashid Ololuwa, the blacklisted companies were also involved in shady deals. Ololuwa announced this on Friday in Lagos during the induction of 10 customers into the Hall of Fame. The 24 companies cloned and falsified documents and diverted loans to non-profitable ventures, thus committing outright frauds. Directors and shareholders have been exposed and published on the website in order to put leading institutions and credit bureaus on notice. He said Boyd decided to announce this to help Nigerian banks to identify business people with no respect for integrity and purpose. Equity transaction on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange on Friday ended on a negative note. The all-share index dipped by -0% to close at 39,197.73 basis points. Market capitalization depreciated in the same manner and closes at 12.6 trillion naira in all. A total of 362.5 million shares valued at 3.86 billion naira were exchanged in 4,846 deals. Report shows that 40 Oil topped the gainers chart, followed by 7-Up, Stanbic, First Bank, Nigeria Holdings, Zenith Bank and Diamond Bank. On the flip side, Seplat Oil topped the chart, followed by Mobil, WAPCO, Nigerian Breweries and Dangote Cement. Meanwhile, here are the top 5 trades. And now in the world of sports, Minister of Sports and Chairman of the National Sports Commission, NSC, Tami Danagogo, said that he has summoned the president of the Nigeria Football Federation, Amaju Picnic, and his board to explain why they have decided to hire a foreign coach for the Super Eagles. The NFF board rose from its late-night meeting on Wednesday to announce a wide range of decisions, including hiring a foreign coach and the sacking of coach Stephen Keshi. In the interim, coach Amodu Shuaibu, who had in the past handled the team, was named as the replacement for Keshi for the 2 remaining matches of the 2015 African Cup of Nations AFCON Championship coming up in Morocco. Commenting on the decision of the board in Abuja during a chat with journalists, Danagogo revealed that he was not privy to the sacking of Keshi, even as he explained that he will meet with the board on the idea of getting a foreign coach. Nigeria Premier League clubs Enyimba and Dolphins will do battle for this year's Federation Cup on November 23rd in Lagos. The winners of the cup competition will represent Nigeria at next year's CAF Confederation Cup. Enyimba beat another top league side, Warri Wolves, via penalties to win last year's tournament. The women's version of the final between Rivers Angels and Sunshine Queens will also be played same day at the Teslim Balogun Stadium in Lagos. According to an official statement, the NFF Executive Committee endorsed the Cup final date and observed that holding the final on this date would still leave enough time for Nigeria's flag bearers in the 2015 CAF Confederation Cup to register for the competition. American sprinter Justin Gatlin has not made the three-man shortlist for the World Athlete of the Year. The 32-year-old, who has served 2 doping bans, was one of the 10 contenders for the International Association of Athletics Federation Award. High jumper Mutaz Essa Bashim, Paul Vaulter, Renaud Lavie-Lenny and Dennis Kimeto, the world marathon record holder, are the 3 finalists. The 2004 Olympic champion failed drugs tests in 2001 and 2006, the second of which initially brought him an 8-year ban that was halved on appeal. Jason Bolton is considering a switch to the World Endurance Championship should he fail to land a competitive Formula One seat for next season. Sources say the McLaren driver has had talks with Porsche, for whom former F1 racer Mark Webber drives. McLaren are waiting for an answer for their main target, Fernando Alonso, before finalizing their driver lineup. Button is only interested in remaining in F1 if he can secure a competitive car, his manager Richard Goddard said. And now to other stories outside Nigeria. International pledges of deployments and aid for Africa's Ebola-hit regions have not yet had any impact on the epidemic, a major medical charity says. Christopher Stokes of Medicine Sans Frontiers said the disease was not still out of control. He said it was ridiculous that the volunteers working for his charity were bearing the brunt of care in the worst affected countries. The disease has killed about 4,500 people so far, mostly in West Africa. MSF runs about 700 out of the 1,000 beds available in treatment facilities in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. Donors have given almost $400 million to UN agencies and aid organizations following an appeal launched in September for $988 million. Separately, the UN is seeking $1 billion for an Ebola Trust Fund to provide a flexible source of backup money to contain Ebola. But UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon on Thursday made another urgent appeal, saying the trust fund had received only $100,000 from Colombia, though $20 million has been pledged. And just before we close the show, here is a wrap-up of the stories that made our headlines. We told you that the federal government has agreed a ceasefire with dreaded militant group Boko Haram. We also brought you a report that the Chief of Defense Staff, Alex Badi, has ordered Nigerian troops to comply with a ceasefire deal with Boko Haram. And finally, political thugs today sacked the Osun APC Congress and left many party members injured. That's been the show tonight. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Ebulomo Adekunle, wishing you a wonderful night rest.